Hi, everyone. My name is Mandy Ballinger, and I will be the host for today's webinar. I'm the Director of Operations at NextChapter, and I also lead the Paralegal as a Service team. So today, as we get started, you may see on the right-hand side already. I did put a little note in there. You might see an unmute button pop up even a little later on. We've noticed that sometimes. So if you see that, go ahead and click it. It will not unmute you. It's only going to unmute me. Just a strange quirk that we have found with the service that we generally like. And then also feel free to chat, say hi, let us know where you're logging in from, what area of law you work in. We do like to hear from everyone that's attending today, and we're also going to have a live question and answer at the end. Feel free to post your questions as we go through. I'm not answering them as they come in. Don't worry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just going to wait till the very end. And sometimes my presentation will actually cover your questions. I may just not have gotten to it yet. So feel free to post your questions in there, and then we'll do a question and answer to make sure that everyone's questions do get answered at the very end here. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my slide, and we're going to dive right in. Okay, wonderful. And so today, you may have received some emails from us. Maybe you've worked with one of our sales associates at NextChapter, but we are here to talk to you about Paralegal as a Service. This is a service that we do provide as an add-on feature for not only the bankruptcy cases that can be worked in NextChapter, but all areas of law. So today, what I really want to focus on is the service and how we provide paralegal services in any area of law in a virtual sense. So that's really what I'm going to focus on, even though we do offer, the bankruptcy as well. So today, I just want to talk to you about a couple things. So why would you use a contract virtual paralegal? I think when we first started offering this service, we had to answer that question a little bit more, just educating attorneys and law firms of how you could have a virtual law staff, what that would look like and why you would do that. Today, now that we're well into COVID-19, I think it's not so much a question. Everyone knows why. A lot of times it's out of necessity at this point, but there are a lot of benefits to doing it as well, in addition to just having to do it. So I do want to cover that a little bit. One of the biggest questions I get asked is, what does a virtual paralegal do? So I'll spend some time discussing that and the role of the paralegal and how they can interact with you and your workflow. We're going to talk about pricing for the service within NextChapter. And we're also going to talk about how to get started, and we'll do a question and answer, as I mentioned at the end. So why use a virtual paralegal? So first, we'll just focus on a paralegal in general. Maybe you're a solo practitioner and you haven't used a paralegal to help you with your caseload yet. So obviously the biggest reason is going to be for using a paralegal is money. You are going to be able to get the work done by the attorney, but on the, using the paralegal, which is paid less and billed less. So it's going to be a money saver for you. It's also going to be a huge efficiency grower for you. You're going to have paralegals that are going to be able to work with you and help you find better ways to work, in addition to helping you take a lot of the tasks that are very time consuming off of your plate so that you can focus on the things that are going to be more lucrative for you and your firm. The next reason is a lot of paralegals have been working in their specific areas for 20 years. They really have worked with all different types of cases and scenarios and courts and trustees and judges. And they really do have a lot of knowledge that they can share. So you are getting a subject field expert when you hire them, so they can really help navigate a lot of the different systems that are out there and know what's going to be the best practice moving forward for you too. So they can really help with that if that's something you would like help with. And then the last reason is for improving your client relations. I think this is especially tricky now as law firms are adjusting to maybe not meeting in office as often as they were before with their clients. So virtual paralegals and paralegals in general are going to be very apt at working with your clients, and they're going to be able to be that open source of contact if the client needs anything. Again, freeing up some of your time, but also making sure your client feels supported and that they have someone they can reach out to if they need to provide additional information, ask for resources, get updates. The paralegal can really assist with that. And again, that can be very helpful right now with people kind of struggling to adapt their law firms to be working virtually. So I want to talk specifically about using a contract virtual paralegal versus an in-house. So again, this might have seemed a little bit more relevant 6 months ago, a year ago. We know why virtual makes sense, but I think it is important to remember that when you hire an in-house paralegal, you are hiring their time regardless of whether or not it's used. You're paying salary, tax, fringe benefits. You've got to pay for the office, the equipment, everything that they're going to need for that. You're going to have to cover that. So you could just look at salary, but when you include everything needed for an in-house full-time paralegal, you're going to be spending a lot more. Whereas with a contract paralegal, you're only going to pay for the time that they work with you. So that's going to remove a lot of, again, the overhead, the technology. They're using their own phones, their own computers, everything that they are already using as a contract paralegal, you're not going to have to pay for. So we'll talk about pricing here in a little bit, but the average virtual paralegal rate is $50 an hour. And instead of paying them for a 40-hour work week, maybe you actually only need help 20 hours a week. You're not having to pay for that extra time that you may not have the work to supplement what you're paying. So the cost can be dramatically different. Another reason is reduce your risk from unknowns. So especially now, you may not know how many cases you're going to get, how much of a need you're going to have, and it may fluctuate from peak seasons to off-peak season. Is there anything with the economy, with taxes, with any type of ebb and flow that might create a higher need for you in certain months versus other months? So you could hire a paralegal in-house, have them very busy one month, but not enough work another. So this really is a way to be able to pay for what you use. And then again, if you're also dealing with situations where staff may be on leave or vacation, you don't want to hire another full-time person. And when that person comes back, now you're going to have this over amount of people to help, but not enough work. So you really, again, can just use what you pay for. Another big one is we get asked a lot about recruiting and what do you have to do? Is there an interview process? As the attorney who purchases the service with Paralegal as a service, we do all of the vetting beforehand. So this is going to help so you don't have to worry about all of the time-consuming tasks involved in recruiting talent, interviewing them, getting them set up into any type of systems, and also training. You're not going to have to do that. Our paralegals are going to come to you ready to go. The only thing they're going to need to have a little time on is just learning what you need to have done specifically, your case. And that will always exist even if you hired in-house. But as far as the area and what they're working on, you're not going to have to train them. That's part of the major benefit of working with a service such as Paralegal as a service, so that you can continue right into your casework and skip past all of these steps. So as I mentioned, one of the questions I'm most commonly asked is, what does a virtual paralegal do? And the short answer is they can do everything a paralegal can do. They're doing it virtually. So they're going to do everything you can, and we follow the ABA guidelines of what a virtual paralegal is, and what a paralegal is. And that's going to be a person who can assist, that is under the direct supervision of the attorney, and becomes a paralegal either by experience or by training. And they can do everything that you can do, except they cannot formally accept a case or set fees. Anything with the fees they cannot do. They're not going to give legal advice to your clients. They're not going to plan any strategy, make any major decisions, take depositions, appear in court. So everything else they can do. Here's some examples of what they could do and what they commonly do. Draft the pleadings, any type of motion practice, research that you might need done, preparation for trials, A lot of drafting is proofreading, site checking. Those are those really tedious tasks that may be very time consuming for you, that a paralegal is going to be very skilled at. And then, also helping with client communications and being that liaison between you and your client if needed as well. So pricing with paralegal as a service, as I mentioned, is $50 an hour. So working with a paralegal is, you're basically going to purchase a package and then estimate how much time you need. Let's say you want to start with a paralegal as a service. You want to hire a paralegal to work on one specific task that you need with some motions that need drafted in whatever area of law you're working on. You could purchase the 5-hour minimum and kind of get started with that. They're going to track their time. I'm going to talk a little bit here about the time tracker that we use and how easy it is to use and how clear it is as well. But then if you find, you're just starting with the minimum, you're not quite sure, you can always add on time later. So we do a 5-hour minimum, and they can really help with anything that you need in your casework. So getting started, I did want to cover that. So you would actually sign up at nextchapterbk.com. Now, I do want to pause and mention that this is if you are just ready to hit the ground running. You want to go into this. I also have a call to action button here. There's a green Hire a Virtual Paralegal button. That actually takes you to paralegalasaservice.com. And what that is going to be kind of I'm interested. I want to talk to somebody. So if you're on the fence, go ahead, fill that out. That's going to give us your information and get us what we need to start to match you with a paralegal, but you haven't purchased anything yet. You haven't started an account. It's kind of an early conversation starter. If you feel like you would feel more comfortable having like a 10-15 minute consultation call with the paralegal prior to getting started, which we completely understand, that's absolutely fine. Start with the Hire a Virtual Paralegal button there. Fill out your information, and what we'll do is we have a network that is ready to basically do a call with you. They have a link for you to be able to pick a time that works best for you. They'll give you a call, and the paralegal can talk to you about their experience and let you know what they have done in the past that might relate to what you're doing. And then you both can feel good about the fact that it's going to be a good match moving forward. So if that's the route you want to take, absolutely, please do so. If you already know you want to move forward, then the next step is going to be to go to nextchapterbk.com and create an account. Now, the account that you create is going to be an account that you could also use to prepare, file, manage bankruptcy cases. That is what NextChapters started as. But we also have the ability for you to create a case in any area of law. It's not going to be as meaty as the bankruptcy, but it's going to have the light CRM tools for you to be able to ultimately hire the paralegal to communicate with them through the case. So once you get started, in your settings, we have the ability for you to purchase and review the service agreement for your hourly package. And then once you do that, you can start a new case. And I wanted to show here some of the great tools that are available once you start the case. So you'll start a case, it'll be assigned to a paralegal. You'll have all their contact information, and we're gonna have a live tracker in there too for you to see what the paralegal has worked on. So it's automatically gonna track the paralegal's time. They can come in here and put updates for what they've done in that amount of time. And then under the virtual paralegal notes, this is great too, because you're going to be able to communicate back and forth with the paralegal. Now, with that being said, we still highly encourage talk outside of just messaging too. I'll get to this in a little bit, but the paralegal is actually going to give you a call and talk with you just to get to know you, especially in the beginning. We do think this is a working relationship that you're establishing, so we do want you to get to know each other and know what your working preference and style is. But we do have the ability, and the paralegals heavily use this section in the case to continually add updates, and those automatically get sent to you as well, so you'll never miss them. So we like to make sure that the paralegals document every step of the way, and that no one ever has the feeling of not knowing what's going on in their case or what the paralegal's doing. They really stay on top of adding their information into the case and keeping you up to date, and any questions that they may need, you can come in here and answer as well. So I really briefly wanted to talk about the best practices of working with a virtual paralegal if you have not done one before. So working with a virtual paralegal, obviously you're going to be have different communication style than if they were literally down the hall and you could hop in and say, hey, can you let me know the status of this case? So we always like to say, making sure that you're clear. Being clear is kind. You're not hurting anyone's feelings if you are telling someone exactly what you want or exactly why you don't like something. Being clear is being kind. So that's the key. I think communication is the key. Things like providing constructive feedback. After your first case together, maybe you debrief. Being open and honest. They're not mind readers, but they are very hard workers and they want to do what you need them to do. And sometimes that could just be a matter of miscommunication and not understanding what needs to be done. So I think it's good to always kind of touch base and discuss what is going on in the case and making sure that everyone is very clear on the expectations and what should be done. And then too, if you're working virtually, this applies, I'm sure, to a lot of elements of your practice at this point, maybe even meeting with clients or working with the courts, the different technologies that you should utilize and that the paralegals will utilize with you. A big one is video conferencing. So Zoom, Google Hangouts, that I think is light years ahead of just talking on the phone personally, especially since we're not able to meet in person. I think being able to see each other's reactions and getting to put a face to a name has a very, very, very huge value in building a working relationship. So if you haven't yet, I would just start utilizing these. The paralegals will utilize them, and we'll obviously communicate through Paralegal as a Service on your NextChapter account as well. They're going to use email. They have secured email accounts. But again, I do recommend at least once just kind of meeting your paralegal through a video conference as well. And then a lot of other options that are in the cloud to help you manage your cases and your documents too. It's going to be key. Okay, so I want to come through and see if there were any questions. I did think of something else as I was just talking that wasn't in the slides. And it was a question that I had come up through some emails. Someone had asked me, how does the paralegal respond or introduce themselves to my clients? Because they work for Paralegal as a Service, obviously, but they are under the supervision of you and your firm. So when they reach out to, if you would like them to, they will always do it under your approval. If there is something that you need the paralegal to reach out to your client for, they're going to introduce themselves as the paralegal for your firm. Now, we do ask that in our service agreement, we do want you to clarify with your client that you do work with virtual staff. However, it is a paralegal under your supervision. It's not a paralegal, they're going to introduce themselves as, oh, I'm Mandy with Paralegal as a Service who's employed by Smith Law Firm. That's confusing, and it's not necessary. They're actually working under your supervision, and they'll introduce themselves as such as well. And as I mentioned, they do have secure email addresses. They are not working from personal email addresses, which allows us to have higher security on any confidential documents that are saved, which they're also going to save into the client's account in NextChapter too. So that has a higher security as well and gives you access to any documents. So if the client sends any documents to the paralegal, they're going to save that into the case. You'll be able to download, view those, edit those, rename them, whatever you want, very similar to a Dropbox. And likewise, if you have documents you need to go to the client, you can or to the paralegal, you can email those, but you can also upload them directly in the case. So that's definitely a benefit, I think, of the service and working through Paralegal as a Service, as we not only have a great network of paralegals, we also have the technology. So it's a great marriage between the paralegals who are looking for work, who want to work with the attorneys. Really benefits a lot of paralegals that maybe want to have non-traditional schedules or want to work for multiple clients. They're going to have more availability and be able to work with more attorneys. The attorneys are looking for the paralegals, and we can kind of help bridge that. It's a great marriage between the technology, the need for the service, and then the attorneys who want the service as well. So we've been doing this for about almost 2 years now, and it is going really well. It's a huge testament to the service that we have Most of our attorneys that use the service are reoccurring clients. I think it's something like 75% last time I checked, which I think is huge. So they always request for the same paralegals. We always give the same paralegals. We want them to build that same relationship. But I think it's really cool that they still, when they have their next case or, they have their next need for the service, they're always like, oh, I would love to work again with Robin, or can I please work again with Jean? And I think that, again, is a testament to the service. So I don't see any questions in here. So hopefully that means I answered any questions that you might have had. But if you do think of any questions, our email's here up on the screen. You can reach us at paralegal@nextchapterbk.com. And, again, you can click on the green Hire a Virtual Paralegal button there if you want to go ahead and put in an inquiry for us so that we can review what your need is and kind of cross that with our network and our experience and start to get you in touch with someone, and we can help you get set up and get everything rolling. We can walk you through every step of the way. So we're very happy to. So that would be a good way to get started. Wonderful. Well, unless you have any other questions, or if you didn't make it to the beginning of this webinar, I do want to let you know that after this webinar concludes here, the link that you had in your email to hop into this webinar, if you go back in, it's going to take you to a recording automatically. So you can hop back in and watch this recording if you weren't able to make it in the very beginning and you missed anything or you need to rewatch anything. That's an easy way to do so. Well, thank you all again. Thanks for taking your time this afternoon, and please be in touch if you have any questions, and we will be happy to help. We look forward to working with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.